All right, we are here, Hoptown Hoppers TV in Muhlenberg County as the Hoptown Hoppers take on the Muhlenberg Stallions. And we get off to a slow start today, waiting for an extension cord. We had a bit of a technical difficulty, so we are starting this we're starting the stream off in the middle of the first inning. The Hoppers already went up to bat and went up 3, down 3. So we are about to get started in the bottom of the first inning here in Muhlenberg. And on the mound tonight is Brady Genovan. So let me give you the whole starting lineup for Hoptown. Robert Estrada, Stephen Bell, Reed Douglas, they have already batted. And then you have Carter Hood, Dom Oliverio, Chase Cummings, Luis Villalba, Gavin Baxter, and Mac Biggs. And like I said, Brady Genovan on the mound. Up first for Muhlenberg will be Ethan Rothschild, their center fielder. And I will say I did not get a full in-depth roster today like I normally do at away games. So all I have is names and numbers. I don't have schools or positions or anything to that effect. So we're running a little bit blind today. Not quite as much information to spout off during the quiet moments. And we're going to get started here in the bottom of the first. Also, I apologize for not the greatest camera angles in the world. It's not the greatest ball field in the world either. We're going through fencing here instead of normal netting, as well as being on an awkward area because we didn't want to block any of the seating. First pitch from Genovan called a ball. Also, I'm not going to speak very much on if I believe a pitch is a ball or a strike tonight, simply because I'm sitting in a spot where I cannot see. So unless something's just totally egregious, I probably won't mention something like that either. There's a strike, so the count is now 1-1. Third pitch there from Genovan called a strike, so a 1-2 count against Rothschild. I'll also say this. There's several people in this Muhlenberg lineup that I'm not exactly sure to say their names. We will mention those as we get through here. There's 1, 2, 3. Their pitcher as well with difficult names. And that ball is fouled off. Tried our best to get this camera to where the pitcher can be seen through a little gap in the fence, and then the plate is a little bit easier to see. But we are aware it's not the greatest look in the world, but it's the best we could do for tonight. Also, not having to worry about being on the speaker side of the fence tonight, not right under a speaker tonight, so that's a good thing. You won't have to hear too much background noise. And that ball is hit towards Estrada playing shortstop, who his throw is just immediately in the dirt. Never really, not exactly sure what happened there. Just throws that one straight down, and the runner will beat out the throw. Stephen Bell at first base tonight, a new look, as well as Estrada at shortstop, a new look. Carter Hood at second base. He's played there pretty often this season, and Gavin Baxter at third as well for him. Luis Villalba as your catcher, plays there regularly. Reed Douglas in the outfield, not his normal spot. And then you have Dom Oliverio in the center field, which is usual spot for him. And Chase Cummings is back in right field tonight. Pitch there thrown is a strike. Runner on first base. All right, we are back. Sorry for that. I'm trying to figure out a way to get some water out here. They don't have concessions open tonight, it looks like, for Muhlenberg. So another strike there. So 0-2 the count according to the scoreboard. I wasn't paying too much attention on that last throw, so that could be wrong. That ball is popped up. And Carter Hood will make the play at second base. So 1 out on the board for Hoptown, with 1 runner still on base. And this will be Tamden Webb Tate, the first baseman. Interesting name there, Tamden with an M, Webb Tate. And there's a wild pitch. I will mention this area behind the home plate is a pretty big gap between the fence and the plate, so wild pitches will pretty much always send runners tonight. Not much of a chance of the catcher getting back to those and getting them to the pitcher on wild pitches when someone's on third base either, so they're going to have to control their pitching tonight as far as that's concerned. And a strike there, swung on, check swing, but he still goes a little too far, so 1-1 the count here for Genovan, who is starting tonight after a little bit over a week off. That's another strike, 1-2 the count here as Genovan goes to work. I'm also not 100% sure if our audio tonight's a little delayed just by a little bit less than a second. It looks like it is, but not 100% sure how to fix that, and I'm not sure if it's coming through like that on the stream or not. That ball's fouled off for Webb Tate to stay alive. And the pitch is wild once again. And that runner's going, oh, he nearly turns third and tries to come home. I mean, that's a real possibility tonight with how far back this fence is. And, I mean, that's going to have to be a serious talking point for the coaches tonight. Pretty bad design of a ball field, if you ask me. I mean, the fence is a good 30 feet behind home plate. And a swinging strikeout there for Genovan to pick up the second out of the inning, but a runner still on third base, getting from first to third, stealing both on wild pitches that go far back to the fence, and that'll bring up Kyle Hogwood, the second baseman, number 7 for the Stallions. And a swinging miss there, so 0-1 the quick count as Hogwood swings and misses. This is the leadoff for Rothschild on third base for Muhlenberg. And a ball called there, 1-1 the count with 2 outs on the board. You didn't hear me earlier if you weren't here when I started. So I'm not going to really talk on if I believe a pitch was a strike or a ball tonight, simply because I'm nowhere near being able to see the strike zone where I'm sitting tonight. And there's a swinging strike. You can't argue with those. 1-2 the count, 2 outs on the board, and a runner at third. As Brady Genovan tries to get out of the first inning here, scoreless. And a high pitch there called a ball, so the 2s are wild. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs with a runner on third base. And Kyle Hogwood, who's already swung on 2, standing on the plate. And he'll swing again, so 2 strikeouts there from Genovan will be 2 of the 3 outs, and that runner will be left on third base. The score remains 0-0. We will return in just a moment for the top of the second inning from Muhlenberg County. And we are back here in the top of the second inning as the Hoppers are back up to bat, and Carter Hood will lead things off for Hoptown. Hood playing at second base tonight, back where he's comfortable playing. Played third base last game. Played pretty good there, though. But they figured they'd give him his spot back, and that'll be a strike right out of the gate. Watching from Hood. 0-1 the count. On deck will be Dom Oliverio, who is, as per usual, playing center field tonight. And that ball is, it's down, it's fair, and it'll just be a single. I have no view of the left field out here, so I have to react when the players in the dugout react. I seriously cannot see the left field from where I'm sitting, so Carter Hood with the, oh, no, that was a home run. Okay, so I was totally out of it. Carter Hood just hit a home run. He stopped at first and then kept going. So there you go. As you can tell, that call clearly shows that I can't see what's going on over in left field. The dugout also, I'll give myself a little bit of leeway. Didn't get too excited about that one, if I'm being honest. So that is a home run from Carter Hood, and I marked it down for Muhlenberg. So a 1-0 early from, or 1-0 lead early from Hoptown as Oliverio fouls that one off. Yeah, I didn't really think about that, but I'm not going to have any sort of call on deep left field shots tonight. I'm used to, from last year, I'm used to as soon as a home run's hit, everybody grabbing cowboy hats and running out and putting them on the player who hit the home run. Not doing that this year, so didn't quite catch that was a home run. But congratulations to Carter Hood, who hits the second home run of the Hopper season. The first was hit by Dom Oliverio, who's currently at the plate. So that was called a strike on the check swing from Oliverio. So the count's 1-2 with no outs after the Hood home run. And a watching strike there will sit down Oliverio for the first out of the top of the second. And we'll bring up Chase Cummings, number 11. He's playing right field tonight, where he played those first few games with Hoptown when he first came into town a couple games into the season. And that's a super high pitch for a ball, 1-0 the early count here. And there's a swinging strike. So 1-1, the count for Chase Cummings. Luis Villalba on deck, the catcher. And he will chop that one down. And the catcher will make the throw to first base and beat Cummings. So that'll be the second out of the inning. Back-to-back outs after Carter Hood's home run. And that'll bring up Luis Villalba, the catcher. Gavin Baxter on deck, had an off day yesterday, as Carter Hood played third base for him. Back in the lineup tonight. And there's a high pitch for a ball. 1-0 the quick count here for Luis Villalba. Second pitch is low, so 2-0 the count. I'll mention definitely more Hoppers fans in attendance tonight than Muhlenberg fans, so nice to see the Hoptown folks traveling well. Muhlenberg not too far out of the way. And that pitch is swung on, hit towards the left fielder, and this time he will make the play. I actually could see that one. And so that'll be the third out of the top of the second. We will head towards the bottom of the second while the last three Hoptown batters are sent back to the dugout. Carter Hood with the solo home run to make the score. Hoppers 1, Muhlenberg Stallions 0, and we will be right back. All right, we are back for the bottom of the second inning. And up to the plate now for Muhlenberg will be Caden Ray, the third baseman, number 14. Brady Genovan remains on the mound, obviously, here in the second inning. Had 2 strikeouts in the first inning and allowed no runs. That pitch is hit up, and the play is made right in front of me by Luis Villalba. There's one benefit of that deep fence is that there's plenty of room for the catcher to make plays like that. And I can only sit here and watch and hope that the ball doesn't drop on my table full of electronics. As Garrett, is this Causey or Kuzi? I have it looking like an A. Let me check my Causey. He'll foul that one off. Garrett Causey, the right fielder tonight for Muhlenberg. And that pitch is hit towards Carter Hood, who will make the play to Stephen Bell at first. So 2 quick outs and some efficient pitching from Genovan here in the second inning. One more here in the second, and here's one of those players that I don't exactly know how to pronounce his last name. It's Ciocorelli, Ciaucerelli, or Ciaucerelli, or I'm going to assume it's Ciaucerelli. I'm not sure. But Tegan Ciaucerelli is the DH tonight for Muhlenberg, number 4. And he'll watch that one go by as a strike is called. And I'll try to get that name for you as this game continues. Hopefully the PA will say it once or twice and I can hear it and get it right. But an Italian name, and I'm not fluent in the Italian language, so couldn't tell you how to say it. But 1-1 the count here with 2 outs on the board. And there's a super high ball, so 2-1. Now the count, 2 outs and no runners on base for Brady Genovan, who as of today leads the OVL in ERA. That's a foul ball, so The twos are wild. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. No runners on base. As Tegan Cialsarelli, I almost want to yell at him and ask him how to say it from here. Genovan trying to get his 3rd strikeout of the game here and sit down 3 straight, and the pitch is swung on for just that. Another strikeout, and that'll be it. And I don't even think Genovan realized 3 had already gone. That was so fast. He was about to pitch another. So we will move to the top of the 3rd inning, and the score remains the same. Hoppers 1, Muhlenberg 0. All right, here we are in the top of the 3rd inning, and I'll go ahead and give you a attempt on saying this pitcher's name for Muhlenberg. Its first name's Brody, last name Nybrug or Niebrug. And hopefully one of those 2 is right. Gavin Baxter hits that one to the shortstop, and we'll try to run it out. And he can't get there, so a quick out for the Hoppers here in the top of the 3rd. So here we have Mac Biggs, the DH tonight for the Hoppers. And there's a high pitch for a ball. Biggs still trying to find his role on this team. Hasn't got a lot of time at first base as he's listed as a first baseman, but has played DH in several games. He will connect with that one, but I believe it's going foul, and it does, and he will return. So 1-1 the count. Had a pretty good connection with that ball, looked like. Just a little bit too far to the left. And Robert Estrada on deck, so after Biggs, we will return to the top of the lineup. Currently a 1-1 count for Mac. And he swings on that one, a slow swinging strike. 1-2 the count with 1 out on the board already. And a swing when the ball's low in the dirt, but the catcher will throw that one way over the first baseman, who is a pretty big guy and still manages to throw it considerably over his head. So Mac Biggs is saved and redeemed by the catcher, and he will remain at first base. And that'll bring up Robert Estrada here as the Hoppers escape their second out. Kind of luck out there and get a runner on first, and Robert Estrada on the plate with only 1 out. A strike looking there. 0-1, the quick count. He'll pop that one up towards center field, and the center fielder will run it and make the play, leaving Biggs at first and picking up the second out of the inning as Stephen Bell steps to the plate. Bell struck out in his first at-bat, but he's been hitting pretty good lately, and he's a lefty. I believe the only lefty in the lineup tonight if Villalba, switch hitter, is batting right. And that ball called a strike. So 0-1 the count here. 2 outs on the board, and Mac Biggs at first base, reaching on an error. And Bell will swing on that one, so very quickly he sees himself behind in an 0-2 count. And that ball's in the dirt, and Biggs will steal. So Biggs at second base now, not known for his speed, but he makes it to second anyway. And the catcher doesn't even try to throw it there, so no doubt about it. And the count is 1-2. And there's another low pitch, so the twos are wild. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs, and a runner on second, being Mac Biggs. Don't know why the umpire stopped the action there, but we'll continue here. And Stephen Bell will hit that one to right field, and the ball will be bobbled, so they'll send Biggs, and that throw comes in, and he's going to be out at home plate. Just not quite quick enough to make it there. And the Hoppers will be stumped despite the efforts to score there. The score remains Hoppers 1, Stallions 0. We are back in the bottom of the third inning. Brady Genovan still on the mound for the Hoppers, and Joel Deakins will step up for Muhlenberg, the left fielder, number 32 for the Stallions. And he'll throw a strike right out of the gate, so 0-1 the count for Deakins, facing off against Brady Genovan. And a ball called there on from what here looked like a pretty pitch. Not gonna say it was a strike because again don't have a great angle, but looked nice. Maybe just a little low. So 1-1 the count, and the pitch here will be on the outside for a ball. So 2-1 the count for Deakins. That pitch right down the middle for a strike. So 2-2 the count. Genovan already with 3 strikeouts in this contest. Has given up 1 hit the first batter he faced. But that was all the action so far offensively, and that'll be a foul down first base side. Count will remain the same as Deacon survives. The pitch here from Genovan is called a ball. Very tight there. So 3-2 on a full count as Genovan faces off against Deacons and threatens to walk his first batter of the day. And another ball called there. So a walk will send Deacons to first base. And that'll bring up Mitchell Mashiko, the shortstop. Not 100% sure if I'm saying that correctly, but Mashiko or Mashiko. Mitchell Mashiko, the shortstop, number 10 for Muhlenberg. And a high pitch there will be the first ball. So 1-0 the count with a runner on first base and no outs on the board. And the runner will go, but he'll be sent back as that's a foul. So 1-1 the count, and a runner will head back to first base. Mashiko, the 9th hole hitter here for Muhlenberg. So after him, we will be back at the top of the lineup for the Stallions. And a strike called there. 1-2 the count. And the runner will go. Oh, no. That sure looked like the ball would have beat him, but Hood unable to secure the ball. So Deacons will make it to second base, and that was called a ball at home, even though it looked tight. So 2-2 the count, and a runner now on second base. No outs on the board. As all of the advancing tonight from the Stallions done by stealing. Earlier, after the single by Rothschild, he stole second and third base, and then now Deacons has stolen second. And there, a swinging strike for the strikeout, Genovan's 4th strikeout of the contest. And that'll bring Rothschild, who already has a single in this game, back up to the plate with a runner in scoring position at second base. That first pitch just a tad bit high, called a ball. Pretty short strike zone here tonight. Looks like has to get down just a little bit to be called. One of the count and some dancing at second base from Deacons. That ball is fouled over the fence to even the count up at 1 apiece. That is hit towards the second baseman, Hood, who makes the play. No, the ball is dropped by Stephen Bell. And he runs back for the out. Wow. So Rothschild there starts moving out of the baseline. Isn't he has to come back to first base, and Bell able to secure the ball and make it back to first before Rothschild is. And that will advance the runner to third base, but Hopper's lucky there to get their second out as Rothschild decides to break out of the baseline and go to second base, and then having to turn around and gets beat back by Bell. First pitch against, Brock Sisson, who flew out in his last at-bat, is fouled. So 0-1 the count, 2 outs on the board, and the runner at third base. That pitch high and inside for a ball. 1-1 the count against Sisson, as Brady Genovan tries to get out of the inning here, leaving this runner at third base. That pitch is fouled, but it pops up and hits him, so a little scary here as Sisson is down on the ground at home plate and hits him in the leg, so he's limping, and that's scary. Hope he's all right. And the Muhlenberg coach, who you'll recognize from his long hair, who has been coaching here for a couple years now, still coaching for Muhlenberg. He'll come and check on him, as that foul ball will sting a little bit, that's for sure, as it bounces up and hits him in the shin. Looks like he's up and grabbing his bat, so he'll return to the box here after walking it off, shaking it off just a little bit. Luis Villalba, Hopper's catcher, checking up on him, asking him where it hit him. From my vantage point, it looked like bounced right into his shin, so definitely a part of the leg you don't want a fast foul ball hitting you. So he will return to the box, and at bat will continue. 1-2 the count, 2 outs on the board. And he'll pop that one to left field. Pretty good hit, but it is caught. And we will go to the top of the 4th inning, as that runner is left on third base, and the score remains Hoppers 1 from the solo home run by Carter Hood, and Stallions 0. We will be right back. We are back here in the top of the 4th inning. Game moving pretty quick so far, as apart from that solo home run from Carter Hood in the bottom of the 1st, not much seen from on offense from either team. And the pitchers working pretty efficiently so far. Brody Nybrug on the mound. Nybrug, maybe. I'm not 100% sure how to say his name, so I apologize if he comes back and watches this later, or if any of his family members do, but didn't get much clarification on a couple of these names from the folks here. But we will see Reed Douglas step up to the plate now. He flew out in his first at bat. And then on deck is Carter Hood, who has that solo home run, the only run in the game and the run that's keeping the Hoppers up at this point. Reed playing left field tonight, somewhere he's not been seen this season. And there's a ball in the dirt, so 1-0 the count. Douglas, of course, normally a catcher, as the coaching staff for the Hoppers moving some players around tonight, seeing if something different works a little bit better. And that pitch will be hit towards the shortstop, who will make the throw. Or maybe, no, never mind. The first baseman has to jump for that one, so he's off the plate, or off the base, and Douglas is going to be safe at first. The throw definitely beat him, but just a tad bit too high for the first baseman. He's already had to make some jumps tonight to get balls, of course. Mac Biggs making it there on an error earlier as he had to jump, or as the first baseman had to jump for a high throw from the catcher. And now Carter Hood at the plate now has a home run in this game already, and he'll swing on that one. 0-1 the count. Dom Oliverio, another home run hitter this season, struck out already in this game, is on deck. And another swing miss from Hood will get him at an 0-2 count behind early. Maybe feeling a little bit trigger happy after that home run in this game in his last at-bat, first at-bat, that is. 1-2 the count, as that pitch was just outside. And he'll pop that one up towards first base side, and the catch will be made. Reed Douglas in that mess will somehow advance to second base, as no one was covering it there, and the ball got loose. So Reed Douglas will make his way to second base after all of that. So even though Carter Hood is out, he does a decent enough job, and Reed Douglas is advanced in a scoring position as Dom Oliverio steps to the plate with 1 out on the board. There's an outside pitch right now as Nyberg looks to be getting a little bit wild on the mound. Maybe we'll let one of these go to the fence, which would, of course, advance Douglas to third. If you weren't here earlier when I mentioned it, the fence is about 30 feet behind home plate, so not really much of a chance of getting those wild pitches back. And there's another ball thrown, so 2-0 the quick count as Oliverio finds himself up. And he'll watch that one for a strike, so 2-1 the count. Oliverio struck out in his first at-bat, his only other at-bat in this game, of course. 2-1 the count now with 1 out on the board and Reed Douglas at second base. A swinging strike there from Oliverio. 2-2 the count now as he will try to stay alive here. Chase Cummings on deck. And there's a low pitch. The catcher will throw one to second base, and Reed Douglas will be safe there. So a full count now for Oliverio. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Still only 1 out, and Reed Douglas in scoring position at second base. And a high pitch there will send Oliverio to first base on a walk. So 2 runners on now as Oliverio walks, and 1 out on the board as Chase Cummings, who flew out in his first at-bat, will step to the plate. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, he may have been thrown out at first. I'm not 100% sure, but I know he didn't get, I think he flew out actually because he advanced a runner, if I remember correctly. And there's a super high pitch for the first ball of the count. 1-2, or not 1-2, excuse me, 1-0 with 1 out on the board here in the top of the 4th, probably the longest half inning we've seen so far in this game. There's an outside pitch, so 2-0 the count now as Cummings tries to stay ahead here. And the Muhlenberg coach will walk out and talk to the pitcher, and so will the infield. So a quick meetup on the mound here. I will mention Muhlenberg Field pretty much has no bullpens. There's a mound of dirt, but nothing much else. And I don't see one on the side of the Stallions either. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to tell you if there's pitchers warming up tonight, because I'm not sure if the pitchers are really going to get to warm up fully or not. I got to see the Hoppers bullpen, and like I said, just a mound of dirt and nothing else. And from where I'm sitting, I can't see much of a bullpen for Muhlenberg either, apart from maybe a fence, the backing of a fence, way, way back in right field. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to keep up with pitchers warming up tonight, but right now it looks like this pitcher, Brody Nybrug, will stay on the mound. He's just getting a quick pep talk. The count is 2-0 for Chase Cummings, and 2 runners are on, 1 out on the board. So Cummings will step back in the box, and we will continue this at bat. 2-0 the count. And Luis Villalba on deck if Cummings can make it through here. And there's a high pitch, and Oliverio will steal second. And Douglas will steal for third. So now 2 runners in scoring position and 3 balls on the board. 3-0 the count as Cummings threatens to walk and load the bases here. 1 out still remaining on the board. Douglas at third, Oliverio at second. And Cummings will swing on that one. Probably would have been low, but will swing on it anyway. 3-1 they count, 1 out on the board. 2 runners in scoring position for Chase Cummings. And there's an outside pitch, so Cummings will walk, back-to-back walks here against Nybrug. Luis Villalba steps up to the plate with 1 out on the board and bases loaded. Mac Biggs will be on deck. No, never mind. Gavin Baxter will be on deck. Mac Biggs in the hole. So Luis Villalba trying to get some more runs here for Hoptown, who are currently up 1-0 after a Carter Hood solo home run in the bottom of the first. Bases loaded. And there's an outside high pitch for a ball. So right now, Nybrug struggling to find this strike zone after walking back-to-back batters. Had a pretty solid first 3 innings, apart from that home run. And there's a super high pitch for another ball. So 2-0 the count now. As if Villalba can walk and not have to do much, then I'm sure he wouldn't mind. And there's another super high ball, so 3-0 the count, and Villalba with some decision making to do here. Try to walk possibly and bring someone in automatically. 3-0 the count, so he has a lot of wiggle room. And there's one straight down the middle. He watches that, so Just was seeing if that one would fly off again. Not crazy to think it would. So 3-1 the count here. 1 out on the board. Loaded bases for Hoptown. And he will hit that one towards left field. The catch will be made, but Douglas will go home, and he'll make it. So 2-0 the count, or 2-0 now the score, excuse me, for Hoptown. Vialba out, but he does his job, and that'll leave runners at second and first, but the score is now 2-0 for Hoptown, and Gavin Baxter now at the plate. Baxter will foul that one off right out of the gate, so 0-1 the count. And there's a low pitch, so 1-1 the count now. Wouldn't be crazy to say that Baxter walking here would not be a bad thing for the Hoppers, as he's a good base runner. Oliverio's at second base. Chase Cummings is at first. Both of them walked. And Baxter will foul that one off. So 1-2 now the count, as Gavin Baxter will try to survive and keep the inning alive for Hoptown. And the infield and coach, they'll meet up at the mound once again. And it looks like the coach is looking back, maybe looking for a pitching change here. But again, I have no idea where they would be warming up at. Cannot see any semblance of a bullpen. And no, it looks like they're going to be sending a pitcher to warm up. So no pitching change, but they will send a pitcher to warm up on their makeshift bullpen, which is just a mound of dirt and a fence. Nothing much else. And when I say a mound of dirt, I don't mean a nicely manicured one that you expect to see in a bullpen. I mean kind of just a bumpy hill they've piled dirt up for the pitchers to warm up on. So Nyberg will stay in the game. Now I think they're saying he might be feeling a little hurt, maybe? Maybe a little injured, possibly. I think this is probably a way for them to give time for the pitcher to warm up to maybe make a pitching change here. I'm not sure. And they're going to come talk to the coach about it. Didn't know you could do that, an injury check. And by injury check, have him throw 3 more pitches. Doesn't make a ton of sense when checking a pitcher for an injury to make him throw more pitches, but seems like that's what they tried to do there. And we will return to that bat with the count at 1-2 and 2 runners on base, 1 in scoring position. And Mac Biggs on deck, Gavin Baxter at the plate. That pitch is in the dirt. Oh, and they're going to call him out on a strikeout.
You better run on out the outfield. Let's go.
So that'll end the inning for the Hoppers, the strike call from the first base umpire. And we will head to the bottom of the 4th. The Hoppers did score 1 in that inning, so 2-0 the score now. And we will be right back. So here we are in the bottom of the fourth inning. The Hoppers lead the Muhlenberg Stallions 2-0. And Tamden Webb Tate will step up to the plate. First baseman who struck out already in this game in his first at-bat. Brady Genovan remains on the mound for the Hoppers, who through three full innings, leaves the Muhlenberg Stallions scoreless and has 4 strikeouts. And that is popped up on the right foul side. Chase Cummings will try to make the play. A very good hustle there from him, but you have to imagine that sprint there will wear him out. He'll make the jog back, but a foul nonetheless, and 0-1 the count for Tamden Webb Tate. That is hit towards right field, and this time Cummings will have a chance to make the play again, and he will make it this time. So an out there, a quick one, only 2 pitches. And an out on the board will send Kyle Hogwood up to the plate, who, like Webb Tate, struck out in his first at-bat. And that'll be a swinging miss for a strike. 0-1 the quick count against Hogwood, the second baseman for Muhlenberg. And another swing there, so a quick 0-2 count for Hogwood facing off against Genovan. With 1 out on the board, no runners on base. And Caden Ray on deck. And a foul there to stay alive for Hogwood, excuse me. And an inside pitch for the first ball of the count. So 1-2. The count now with an out on the board as Genovan tries to strike out his 5th of the day. And a swinging miss there will strike out Hogwood for his 2nd strikeout of the day and Genovan's 5th. And that'll bring Caden Ray up, who flew out in his first at-bat. 2 outs on the board here in the bottom of the 4th with no runners on base. And the third baseman now at the plate for Muhlenberg. Right down the middle for a strike looking there. So 0-1 the quick count here for Ray. And that is popped foul. And Stephen Bell will make the catch right on the fence. So 3 up, 3 down. Very efficient pitching from Brady Genovan. And we will head towards the top of the 5th inning. The Hoppers still lead 2-0. We will be right back with Hoptown Hoppers TV. Here we are in the top of the 5th inning, Hoptown Hoppers TV. This is Ethan Alexander. And Brody Nybrook will remain on the mound despite walking to loading the bases in that last inning and allowing another run, nearly allowing more. Mac Biggs at the plate now. Interesting decision from Muhlenberg to keep him on the mound, especially after checking him for a shoulder injury, which may have been fraudulent. And that first pitch will be a little too high, so 1-0 the count for Biggs. Biggs will foul that one off deep. Don't think they're going to be able to make the play on it, and they won't. And big hustle from the right field first baseman and second baseman to try to catch that ball, but unable to do so will leave the count at 1 apiece with no outs on the board. This might be the time where you should do a little bit of watching because the way Nybrook's been throwing, seems to be more likely to throw you 4 balls before he throws you 3 strikes. And a swinging strike there on an outside pitch will bring the count to 1-2 for Mac Biggs, who reached in his first at-bat on an error when the catcher threw the ball above the first baseman. And he'll watch that one for a strikeout, and he knows it. So that'll be the first out of the inning here in the top of the 5th. And it will bring up Rob Estrada at the top of the lineup. So I've already run through the lineup twice in its entirety for the Hoppers, only about 1.5 of the way through for Muhlenberg. And Robert Estrada at the plate playing shortstop tonight for the first time this season. Swing on that one for a strike. Don't know why I clipped to the second camera so quick. I knew he missed, but just like to be quick on my toes over here behind the camera equipment. He'll swing on that one. It'll go to the shortstop, and it'll bounce over. And Robert Estrada, who's very fast, will make it. If you don't quickly get that ball in and out, then he's going to beat you, and he does. So Robert Estrada will reach first base. And Stephen Bell, who's been on a hot streak so far this season, already has a single in this contest, will step to the plate. 1 out on the board. And there's a super high pitch for a ball. So way to watch from Bell. 1-0 the count. And that ball is, no, it's going to the third baseman, and he'll make the catch. So thought it was going to go foul there, but an easy catch for the third baseman, Caden Ray. And so that'll be the second out of the inning for the Hoppers, leaving Robert Estrada at first base as of right now, who was going to steal there if the foul wasn't made. Reed Douglas now at the plate, who had a single in his last at-bat, eventually scored. And that is called a strike. Looked a tad bit high, but it's all right. It's close enough. Don't have a great angle on pitches tonight from where I'm sitting. Can kind of see the inside-outside, but as far as height's concerned, not great. And Estrada is caught stealing second base. So that will send them packing and will bring us to the bottom of the 5th inning. The score remains Hoptown Hoppers 2, Muhlenberg Stallions 0. Here we are in the bottom of the 5th inning as Garrett Causey will step up to the plate. He hasn't been able to get anything done today in his lone at bat. He is the right fielder for the Muhlenberg Stallions, and Brady Genovan will remain on the mound here in the 5th inning. Already has 4 strikeouts. Let me make sure that's correct. 5 strikeouts, excuse me. And he'll throw a ball there to get things started, so 1-0 the count. Doesn't look like that'll be a swinging strike. Doesn't look like the Hoppers have anybody warming up either, from what I can see in the makeshift bullpen behind me. So Brady Genovan, one of the top starting pitchers in the league, throws another strike there, will look to remain on the mound for quite a while. Currently leading the OVL in ERA with 0. Has not allowed a run. Don't mean to jinx him. Trying my best not to do that. And there's an outside pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes for a 2-2 count. All evened up for Garrett Causey. And a foul there to stay alive from Causey. I will say the score right now, Hoptown Hoppers 2, Muhlenberg Stallions 0, should probably be more like 4 or 5-0. Hoppers not quite taking advantage of their scoring opportunities and making some costly mistakes like that last inning steal from Estrada. And a strikeout there from Genovan. So his 6th of the day in the first of the 5th to retire Causey and bring up Tegan Chaucerelli, who has already struck out today. And a ball thrown there. Back-to-back at-bats with a ball thrown first, and 1-0 the count. The pitch from Genovan is swung on for a strike. 1-1 the count, all evened up. And out on the board, no runners on base for Tegan Chaucerelli. I hope I'm saying that right. I've already said I apologize if I'm not. And there's a foul. So 1-2 the count for Genovan, threatening to strike out his 7th of the day. He has only walked 1. Walked Joel Deakins, who's on deck right now. And there's another foul, so Chaucerelli will stay alive on the plate. The pitch from Genovan hit over his head and into the hands of Estrada, who can't make the throw. A good stop, though, so a hit there for Chaucerelli will leave him on first base and will bring up Joel Deakins. The left fielder who has walked in this contest. That pitch is called a ball. 1-0 the count. Looked good from here, but not a great angle from here either. Runner on first base with 1 out on the board. That ball is fouled off, so that'll even things up at 1 apiece. pitch there, a strike looking. So 1-2 the count once again for Genovan, now facing off against Joel Deakins. Had a 1-2 count against Ciausarelli before his hit. And that is called a ball. Very tight there. So 2 apiece. The count now with 1 out on the board and a runner at first base, as this umpire doesn't have much leeway in his calls. Very tight strike zone. And that'll be a swinging strikeout. No question about that one. 2 outs now on the board, both via strikeout, as Genovan has struck out 7. And Mitchell Machiko, the shortstop, will step up to the plate. He, too, has already been struck out in this contest. A runner at first base and 2 outs on the board. That pitch is swung on from Machiko for the 0-1 count. And still no pitchers warming up for the Hoppers, so it looks like Genovan will return for the 6th inning no matter what here. And that runner is going to be out at second base, and he is. So 2 strikeouts for Genovan and a runner caught at second base. Great throw from Luis Villalba and an excellent work of defense in that inning from the Hoppers. We will head to the top of the 6th. Here in Muhlenberg, as the score remains Hoppers 2, Stallions 0. So we are here in the top of the 6th inning. This game moving pretty quick. Reed Douglas will step back into the box. He was there at the, and my first camera just went out. We will have to look at the long cam until Bruce Smiley can get this other camera set up, and Douglas will hit that one over, popped up, and they lost that ball. They lost that, and Douglas will try to go to second base, and he's out. I don't know why he went. There was no real point there. He got lucky that he was safe at first and tries to go to second. And just not great coaching on the corners to allow him to do that. You got to keep him at first base there. And we have our close cam back, so looked like it just disconnected there for us for a moment. This is Carter Hood at the plate, who already has a home run in this game, a solo home run in the bottom of the or top of the first. I mean, what'd that have been? The bottom of the second when he hit that. Excuse me, bottom of the second. And that is a foul ball, but hit well. So 1-1 the count here with 1 out on the board. And there's a super high pitch. Brody Nyberg will remain on the mound for the Stallions here in the 6th, despite having a pretty rough 4th inning and an all right 5th inning. They do have pitchers warming up in the bullpen. And there's another high pitch to make it 3-1. And another high pitch will walk Carter Hood. So Hoppers could have runners on second and first right now. Instead, just runners on first, or runner, excuse me, singular on first base from the walk. And Dom Oliverio will step up to the plate. Oliverio swings on that one, 0-1 the count. Already has a walk in this contest. Struck out as well, though, in his first at-bat. This is his 3rd at-bat in this game. And he'll foul that one off. So a quick 0-2 count as Oliverio finds himself behind here early with 1 out on the board and Carter Hood at first base. There's a high pitch. So 1-2 the count now for Oliverio. And he'll foul that one off to stay alive. Probably would have been a little high there for a ball, but better safe than sorry as Oliverio remains fighting on the plate. Hoppers need to get something here. They're winning this game. They've been pretty dominant as far as offense is concerned, but still only up 2-0. Not being able to take advantage of some of their scoring opportunities. And there's a low pitch. So things are evened up at 2 apiece now for Oliverio. And he'll chop that one, and it'll be called foul by the home plate umpire. So 2-2, the count remains the same. Oliverio fighting to extend this at-bat for as long as possible right now. Making Nyberg throw as many pitches as possible as well here in the 6th inning. A pitcher that looked like he might get taken out in the 4th, remaining on the mound in the 6th, is something that you would hope the Hoppers could take advantage of. And another low pitch in the dirt. I will say this catcher doing a great job to keep wild pitches from going behind him, because deep, deep fence behind home plate will surely send runners on all of the wild throws that get past the catcher. And none so far for. And that is hit very, very well. And not well enough as the right fielder makes the catch. And man, that one was close. Sure looked good as it left the bat, but play made nonetheless. And Hood will remain at first base as Chase Cummings steps up to the plate. And 2 outs are now on the board after the very close call from the deep shot to right field from Dominic Oliverio. And Cummings watches that one. Looks like it went a little outside, but called a strike. So 0-1 the quick count here for Chase Cummings. And he'll foul that one off. So a quick 0-2 count, similar to Oliverio, as Cummings finds himself behind, and Carter Hood just hanging out on first base after his walk. And Cummings will swing, so that's a strikeout, and that will send us to the bottom of the sixth. And after some miscues there from Hoptown, we will return in the bottom. The score remaining, Hoppers 2, Stallions 0. And we are back here in the bottom of the sixth inning as the Stallions will try to get something back on Hoptown here. Still leading 2-0, of course, the Hoppers are. And Mitchell Machiko, who struck out in his first at-bat, will return to the box. Of course, started or was there in the last inning, but did not finish his at-bat because of the runner taken out at second base. And there's a ball thrown from Genovan, who remains on the mound in the sixth. And we're seeing a little bit of action in the bullpen, but not a ton, just some stretching. And he'll throw a swinging strike there. So 1-1 the count now. And he shows bunt, misses it. And that'll be the second strike. So 1-2 the count now for Genovan against Mitchell Machiko, the shortstop from Muhlenberg. And that ball hit foul over the fence and towards the concession stand, which is not open, sadly, because I was wanting a water earlier and couldn't get one. So 1-2 still the count, 0 outs on the board. And another foul. So Machiko doing his best job to stay alive here. 1-2 the count remains. In the bottom of the sixth, this game moving fairly quick. A couple longer half innings like the top of the fourth. And a foul there, but that one's going to be able to be played. And Stephen Bell will do just that as Machiko is retired, and that'll be the first out of the bottom of the sixth inning here for the Hoptown Hoppers. And that'll bring us back to the top of the lineup as Ethan Rothschild, who has the one of the 2 hits tonight for the Stallions, a single in his first at-bat, will step back up to the plate. he will foul that one off right away behind the fence for an 0-1 quick count. Ball thrown there, so 1-1 the count. That is hit foul and won't be able to be played, so 1-2 now the count against Ethan Rothschild for Brady Genovan, who has 7 strikeouts on the night, only 1 walk. And 2 hits, no runs. Will throw a ball there to even things up 2 apiece with 1 out on the board. No runners on base. And a strikeout there as Brady Genovan strikes out his 8th batter of the night for the 2nd out of the bottom of the 6th inning. And that will bring up Brock Sisson, who has not been able to find any rhythm tonight. Flown out in both of his at-bats, I believe. The catcher, who has done a very good job defensively, I will say, at blocking wild pitches, not allowing runners to advance, a big reason why the score is only 2-0 for the Hoppers. And that'll be a high pitch called a ball. 1-0 the count. 2 outs on the board, no runners on base for Brock Sisson. And that ball is hit well, but it's foul. And I want to guess that one probably went over the fence. So hit very well, but foul nonetheless. So 1-1 the count. And there is a swinging strike from Genovan. So 1-2 the count. Something that he's seen quite a lot of tonight with 2 outs on the board, no runners on base. And the pitch from Genovan here is hit well towards second base, and the catch is made. And so we're heading to the 7th inning here, and the score remains Hoppers 2, Stallions 0. And Brady Genovan throwing a heck of a game. We will return in the 7th inning. So here we are in the top of the 7th inning. Brody Nybrook will remain on the mound. a pitcher who nearly came out of the game in the 4th inning, and then since then has thrown 2 decent innings in the 5th and 6th. Figured he would be out by now, but he's not. So you would assume the Hoppers have to take advantage of a pitcher who has not been spectacular tonight. The Hoppers have had their chances, just not taken advantage of many of them. And Luis Villalba will be at the plate to start things off. And a pitch straight down the middle will be a strike, so 0-1 the count. But just not a ton of pace on those throws. And that one in the dirt will be a ball. 1-1 the count. And I will say about the bullpen for the Stallions is there's some stretching, but not much throwing going on. Saw some throwing earlier in the 4th, but since then, pretty quiet over there. Some throwing in the Hoppers bullpen as well now. And there's a high pitch for a ball. 2-1 the count against Villalba with Gavin Baxter on deck. Villalba today has flown out in both of his at-bats. And there's a pitch straight down the middle to even things up at 2 apiece. Again, not much speed on that pitch. And a swinging strike and a miss from Villalba will be a strikeout. That'll sit him down and bring up Gavin Baxter, who struck out in his last at-bat on a controversial call from the first base umpire. He'll return to the plate. 1 out on the board. No runners on base. And Mac Biggs on deck. And there's a super high pitch for a ball. And another pitch there in the dirt for a ball. So 2-0 the count now. And that was the first pitch I've seen all night get past this catcher into the fence. So it would have been nice to have a runner on base there. And a good hit from Baxter, but it'll go right towards the right fielder, and he'll make the catch. So that's the second out of the inning here in the top of the 7th, as the Hoppers still unable to get much done offensively, apart from a few moves here and there. And Mac Biggs now stepping up to the plate. Reached on error in his first at-bat and struck out in his second. And there's a high pitch for a ball, high and outside, to make the count 1-0 to get things started for Biggs. And another high pitch, 2-0 the count, same count that Baxter saw just a moment ago. And another high pitch. So 3 straight high pitches against Mac Biggs, who, very tall guy, hard to throw it too high against him. And this pitcher managing to do just that. 3-0 the count, and this is Mac Biggs' count right now. And a chance for him to walk and get a runner on base, as we will return to the top of the lineup if Biggs can manage to stay alive here. And 4 straight super high pitches will walk Mac Biggs and bring up Robert Estrada. Estrada with a single in his last at-bat. And a wild pitch there will send Mac Biggs to second, so second stolen base today for Mac Biggs, who not necessarily known for his speed, managing to find his way to second base for the second time today. And they're going to have, looks like Sam Perkins go in pinch run for Mac Biggs. So Sam Perkins on second base now with some speed for the Hoppers. 2 outs here. And Robert Estrada at the plate. And a high pitch there. So 5 straight high pitches from Nybrook. And his infield will come and chat with him. Probably see what's going on, and looks like a player maybe running down to the bullpen to ask someone to come on, but coach not walking to the mound, but that player that ran out to the bullpen looks like he's signaling that that pitcher's ready. So any moment now we could see a pitching change from the Stallions. And looks like there's 2 balls, excuse me. Yes, I forgot about that first one that went wild. And Robert Estrada is going to be safe at first base, and Sam Perkins is going to be safe at home. Sam Perkins with that speed showing it right away. And it'll be a 3-0 ball game just like that, as Robert Estrada's speed beats out the throw at first. And Sam Perkins' speed gets him all the way from second to home with some excellent base running. 3-0 the score now, as the Hoppers are able to put on just a little bit more insurance in this game. And the Stallions coach will walk out to the mound. So Stephen Bell's at bat will be paused, as the Stallions will make a pitching change here. And I will let you know who that is as soon as I see their number, because all I have tonight are names and numbers. And he is a lefty pitcher, that's for sure. So let me see this number. Can't quite get a look on it yet. Definitely a single digit. And I'm seeing a couple of these single digit names. I'm hoping it's not him, because some difficult names to pronounce here. And it is number 6, it looks like, and that's Manning Webb. Manning Webb, if I'm right, and that's number 6. Yes, and I get confirmation from the home umpire, number 6, Manning Webb, a lefty pitcher for the Stallions. And we will return when Webb is done warming up. Stephen Bell will be at the plate. Hoppers are currently winning 3-0 against the Muhlenberg Stallions. And so Webb is done warming up, and Stephen Bell will approach the plate once again. Bell with a single in this contest and a strikeout. Also looks like we'll be having a pitching change for the Hoppers in the bottom of this inning as the pitcher that was warming up is done warming up. A strike thrown there. Webb not throwing much speed, so a different look here for sure from the Hoppers as a lefty pitcher throwing considerably slower than the starting pitcher was. And another strike thrown at the same speed, and these have to be mid to low 70 pitches. I mean, these are very slow from Webb. And that just a lob ball there for a ball. So 1-2 the count. And he's going to call that a strike. And Estrada will steal second. So, but it does not matter because they call Stephen Bell out on a strikeout. 3 very slow pitches will strike out Stephen Bell, and he'll have a conversation with the umpire about it. And that'll send us to the bottom of the 7th inning. The Hoppers still lead 3-0. And we will see Jacob Dilday on the mound when we return here with Hoptown Hoppers TV. So here we are in the bottom of the 7th inning, and like I said, Jacob Dilday will take the mound over Brady Genovan, who had 8 strikeouts, only 1 walk, and I believe 2 hits allowed, no runs allowed through his 6 innings. So excellent, excellent start for Genovan as he remains at a 0 ERA and the best in the OVL. And Jacob Dilday, one of the top relievers for the Hoppers, will now take over in the 7th. And Tamden Webb Tate is at the plate. He struck out already in this game and will start his day off, or start his at-bat off, excuse me, and start Jacob Dilday's day off with a strike. And that's hit towards Estrada, who gets the stop but bobbles the ball and can't make the throw. So Tate will end up on first base. And I don't know whether to count that as a single or an error, but either way, a runner at first now for the Stallions with no outs on the board. And that'll bring up Kyle Hogwood to the plate, who has struck out in both of his at-bats. And a high inside pitch there for a ball. 1-0 the count here for Dilday. Runner on first being Tamden Webb Tate, the first baseman. And that pitch is a strike, so that'll even things up at 1 apiece for Jacob Dilday. And that is hit well towards left field. And Reed Douglas makes the catch. I'm blind to the left field side, but a good run from Reed Douglas, who's very quick. Gets the catch there, so that'll be an out for Kyle Hogwood, and we'll bring up Caden Ray, who's been out in both of his at-bats. One out on the board, only one runner on base at first base. And now Caden Ray on the plate. That last pitch was hit well, though, I will say. And there's a strike to get things started. 0-1 the count. But Reed Douglas, who listed as a catcher, has been playing catcher all season in left field tonight. Quite the runner, will make the play over there for that catch. So that ball hit towards the shortstop. We'll try to roll 2 here. The double play will not happen. And that ball in the dugout will send Ray to second base, but the out at second against Tate will make it 2 outs on the board and a runner at second in scoring position as Garrett Causey steps up to the plate. Causey struck out in his last at-bat. 2 outs here with a runner on second base after the throw to first ends up in the Stallions dugout. There's an outside pitch for a ball. 1-0 the count here early. And there's a good pitch called a ball. Looked good from here, but not a great angle I'm sitting at. And the umpire now going to throw out a fan for calling that ball a strike, and says he's been hearing it all night. I'll be honest with you, it's probably 2 or 3 things have been said all night to this umpire. So a pretty soft move here from the umpire, who is now saying he will wait until someone walks away. And I'm going to try my best because I don't have a camera on him, but doing his best right now. So the umpire will send a fan out. And I'll be honest, this is probably the least chirping I've heard from the fans all season, if I'm being 100% honest with you. So I'll chalk this one up to a pretty soft umpire. Because, again, quite a bit of chirping at these baseball games tonight. Probably 2 to 3, 4 at the most things have been said all night. And someone gets thrown out for it. So pretty soft from the umpire here. Normally would try to be unbiased about it, but pretty ridiculous. And immediately a strike, or a foul ball there, excuse me, for a 2-1 count. And there's a ball in the dirt for a 3-1 count. And a good stop there from Luis Villalba. And a foul there. So full count 3-2. The scoreboard does not agree with me. It says there's only 2 balls, no strikes. But the umpire will say it's 3-2, so I was right. Scoreboard not correct. Maybe a little bit caught up with watching the theatrics down here from the home plate umpire to keep up with the scoreboard. That is hit directly towards Gavin Baxter at third, and he makes the catch to send the Stallions back and send this game to the 8th inning with the score remaining. Hoptown Hoppers 3, Muhlenberg Stallions 0. We will return with Hoptown Hoppers TV in the top of the 8th. So here we are in the top of the 8th inning. Reed Douglas at the plate. Manning Webb still on the mound for the Muhlenberg Stallions. Was throwing some pretty slow pitches there to strike out Stephen Bell at the end of the beginning of the 7th, excuse me. So maybe the Hoppers can now get barrels on balls in the 8th inning. Again, some slow pitching from the lefty. And a strike straight down the middle there. I'm not exactly sure what they're seeing that I'm not. These pitches going straight down the middle at low 70s. And another one doing the same thing. They're baseball players, I'm not, but a little confusing here. Why I'm not seeing some swings against a very, very slow pitcher. And a ball called there, similar spot. It's the first, or at least the second pitch. And there's an inside pitch to even things up at 2 apiece. Don't know if that one would have hurt if Douglas wore it. Pretty slow pitching. I've said it 3 or 4 times already, but. And that one's low, nearly in the dirt for a full count, 3-2. No outs on the board as Douglas leads things off here in the 8th. And a high pitch there will walk Douglas, so 4 straight balls to walk Reed Douglas and send him on first base as Carter Hood, who has a home run in this contest, will step up to the plate. And Hood will swing there. Someone that's not afraid to swing on some of these slow pitches is Carter Hood. So an 0-1 count here for Hood. And he will foul that one off for an 0-2 count. So an 0-2 count for Carter Hood with a runner on first and no outs on the board as he tries to stay alive here. And there's a low pitch in the dirt. And Reed Douglas will be out running to second, and I'm just not sure why we keep sending runners to second base with a catcher who has shown time and time again that he's capable of throwing these guys out at second. I don't know if any of his throws yet to second base have been bad. There's been some that he didn't quite get, but just at this point in the game, just not sure if that's a great strategy. 1-2 the count, and 2-2 now the count, as that's another high pitch. And a low ball there in the dirt for a 3-2 count. So very similar here. Carter Hood's at bat to Reed Douglas's as he started out 0-2. So did Hood. Now 3-2 full count for both of them. Douglas walked. Hood fighting to stay alive still. And a high pitch will walk Hood as well. So another chance to have 2 runners on, and we'll only have 1 runner on with an out on the board. And Dom Oliverio will step up to the plate. One out on the board, 1 runner on first base, and Dom Oliverio on the plate, or in the box, excuse me. And there's a very slow pitch for a strike. Probably high 60s there. Don't have a radar on me. Well, I do, but I'm not looking at it. But kind of eye testing these high 60s, low 70s pitches. And that one fouled off. So just like Douglas and Hood, Oliverio will start off with an 0-2 count. And Oliverio will swing and a miss there. So a strikeout from Dom Oliverio. And just kind of makes you question how this is happening. Is it just, I would say that the difference in a starting pitcher pitching really fast and then a reliever coming in and pitching this slow could throw batters off, but the starting pitcher was not throwing that fast. So not sure why these Hoppers batters can't quite get a hold of these super duper slow pitches from Webb. But with that being said, Chase Cummings now at the plate. Carter Hood still at first base, 2 outs on the board. And he'll watch that one go by for a strike. And there's a low ball in the dirt for an even count at 1 apiece. So the first batter we've seen so far that didn't start out 0-2 in the count. And that pitch called a strike, looked inside.
Thought you was a good umpire. He thinks he is. That's all right. I'll give my 2 cents in.
And Cummings hits that one. Looks like it's going to drop. No, the second baseman will make the run over to it. So 3 outs pretty quick for the Hoppers to send this to the bottom of the 8th inning. And the score will remain Hoptown Hoppers 3, Muhlenberg Stallions 0. We will return with Hoptown Hoppers TV in the bottom of the 8th. And here we are on the bottom of the 8th inning. Jacob Dilday remains on the mound for the Hoppers. And first up for the Stallions will be number 4, Tegan Chaucerelli. Sounded like they just said Sicarelli is his last name. So here in the 8th inning, we figure out how to actually say his last name. Sicarelli is what it sounded like. A strike swinging there to get things started for Dilday. And another strike swinging to make the count 0-2 for Sicarelli. And that pitch called a ball. Looked all right from here. 1-2 the count nonetheless. 0 outs on the board. And there's a high pitch to even the count up at 2 apiece. And that pitch is rifled down the middle of the infield, so a single from Sicarelli. And Joel Deakins will step up to the plate now. He struck out in his first, or no, excuse me, walked in his first, struck out in his second at bat. So our runner at first now, no outs on the board, similar situation to last inning. And a ball there to get things started off for Deakins. And there's a strike thrown to even the count up at 1 apiece.
Oh, they're fussing about how bad you are.
Dilday will check the runner at first. He'll be safe. And that ball fouled off over the fence for a 1-2 count. So back-to-back batters here with 2 strikes sitting. The last one will get the single. This one still fighting. And Dilday checks the runner again. Safe again, but some tight throws here from Dilday to Stephen Bell, playing first base for the first time tonight. And that pitch is hit to Carter Hood at second base, and he will make the play at first to Stephen Bell. So 1 out on the board, but the runner does advance to second base scoring position. Once again, similar scenario to last inning. And now number 23, so a replacement for Mitchell Machiko is number 23, and I'll have to look at my phone to see who that is for you. And they don't have a 23. Oh, wait, never mind. They have him listed over here with the number written in, Charlie Scolvin. So, again, another odd last name, Scolvin, spelled Scholvin. A ball was thrown there for the first pitch, and a swinging strike there for the second. So 1-1 the count with 1 out on the board and a runner in scoring position at second base. That's Tegan Sicarelli. And another swinging strike. So all 3 batters we've seen so far have reached the 2-strike limit, if you want to call it that. One with a hit, one thrown out at first. And that's a foul tipped off the bat. So the count will remain the same. Huge leadoff at second base. And there's an outside pitch to even the count up at 2 apiece, where the same count where Secarelli got his hit. And another foul from Scolvin. And a high pitch there, so full count here for Scolvin as Dilday threatens to walk here and get another runner on base, and he'll switch balls, doesn't like that one. With one out on the board, there's a runner at second already. And a high pitch will walk Scolvin. So runners at second and first base. Now Ethan Rothschild will step back up to the plate. Already has a single in this game. One out on the board. With a runner in scoring position, a runner at first. The team will meet up at the mound to talk with Dilday, calm his nerves. They'll chat it out. There is a pitcher warming up in the bullpen, so potentially someone to come in that ninth inning. I doubt they take Dilday off here in the eighth. I originally assumed he would pitch the game out. Mike Albin having a conversation with the home plate umpire, the pitching coach, Mike Albin, for the Hoptown Hoppers. And don't know exactly what they're chatting about, but he will have a quick talk with the first base umpire. So everything seems to return back to normal here. One out on the board, runners at second and first, with Ethan Rothschild at the plate. And a strike there from Dilday. Rothschild showing bunt, but pulls it back, doesn't matter, so strike anyway. That pitch called a ball. Would have been a strike for most, but Rothschild is on the shorter side, so his strike zone just a little lower, and that pitch that looked high for him would most likely been a strike in most scenarios. That is hit well, and it's fair. That's going to score 2 at least. And Rothschild is going to go to third base. So the Stallions able to score 2 right there with the beautiful strike from Ethan Rothschild that just barely went fair on the line. And we have a ball game as Rothschild, that's a triple, and he's at third base. So this inning very much not over. Hoppers have been winning this entire game, but have had a ton of sloppy plays that could have advanced their score or their advantage all night. And now that coming to bite them in the end of this game here, as it's only a 1-run game, 1 out on the board, and Jacob Dilday throws a high pitch there. 1-0 the count. This is Brock Sisson, who's been out in all of his at-bats, but feeling some momentum shift here in the 8th inning, and another ball thrown from Dilday. And that's another high pitch. So 3-0 the count as Dilday threatens to walk a batter here. And there's a strike to make it 3-1. Still only 1 out on the board. And Rothschild at third base threatening to tie this game up in the bottom of the 8th. That ball is hit up towards, and Rothschild decides to stay at third base. So 2 outs on the board as Jacob Dilday avoids walking that batter. And now we have Tamden Webb Tate, who had a single in his last at-bat, was the first batter that Dilday faced. And it looks like Dilday's night is going to be over here. And it will be, I believe. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 8th inning. We will see who his replacement will be. But the Hoppers coming out of the dugout to meet him, and it looks like it's going to be Miles Green. And that's exactly who that is. So Miles Green will replace Jacob Dilday here in the bottom of the 8th inning. 2 outs on the board and a runner still at third base. We will return when Green is done warming up. We are back here in the bottom of the 8th inning as Miles Green takes over for Jacob Dilday, and Tamden Webb Tate will be at the plate. 2 outs on the board and a runner at third base. The Stallions scored both of their runs in this inning already to make this a ball game, and the tying run is standing at third base right now, and that's Ethan Rothschild, the hitter who had the triple that scored those 2 runs. And the first batter will hit it straight to Carter Hood, who throws it to first base and will send this to the 9th inning. The Hoppers still up 3-2. We have a ball game here in Muhlenberg, and 1 pitch, 1 swing, 1 out will get things sent to the 9th. We will see you then on Hoptown Hoppers TV. And here we are in the top of the 9th inning, the last chance for the Hoppers to add some insurance runs onto their 1-run lead, which was a 3-run lead. The Stallions able to score 2 in the bottom of the 8th, and now we're looking at a 3-2 score in the top of the 9th. Luis Villalba now at the plate. Manning Webb, the pitcher, who's been pitching pretty slow tonight, still on the mound for his 3rd inning. And there's an outside ball to get things started for Villalba, 1-0 the count. And there's a pitch in the dirt for the 2nd ball.
Let's go, bud. Come on. Let's straighten something out here, boys.
And another low pitch, so 3-0 the count for Luis Villalba. This is his count now. And a walk and a runner on base would be wonderful for the Hoppers. And that's exactly what they'll get. 4 straight balls will walk Luis Villalba and put him on first base, as Gavin Baxter will walk up to the plate now with a chance to extend this lead for Hoptown, something they need right now, as a game they've been ahead the entire time. Now it's pretty tight. And he goes for the bunt, will foul that one off. That would have been a ball. Ends up being a strike because of the foul, so 0-1 the count now for Baxter. Runner on first.
Do it. Here you go.
And an inside pitch there for a ball. So 1-1 the count. Sam Perkins on deck for his first at-bat of the day, replacing Mac Biggs to run and score that 3rd run of the day. And Baxter going to bunt there. And the throw will be made at first, but Villalba will advance to second. So here's Sam Perkins, who scored that third run, as I said, replaced Mac Biggs in the lineup for his first at-bat of the day. And he will have a deep hit towards left field. That is a made catch, so 2 outs just like that for Hoptown. And Robert Estrada will step to the plate. We are back at the top of the lineup. Just can't believe the Hoppers have not been able to hit the ball off of this pitcher, who's pitching high 60s, low 70s at the fastest. And there's a high lobbing pitch for a ball. 1-0 the count. And another high pitch there for the second ball. So 2-0 the count now for Estrada. And there's a strike straight down the middle. So 2-1 the count now. 2 outs on the board with Luis Villalba in scoring position at second base. And there's a low pitch called a strike. So 2s are wild here in the top of the ninth. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs with a runner on second. And Estrada will foul that one off to stay alive. The count remains the same. And Estrada will foul that one off to stay alive here.
Come on, Rob. Bring your roommate in.
Robert Estrada working on the plate now to keep the Hoppers alive here in the ninth. And he will foul that one up, and the first baseman will make the catch. So we're heading to the bottom of the ninth here. The Hoppers lead 3-2, and the Stallions will have a chance to walk this thing off. Miles Green will likely remain on the mound. And we are in tune for a exciting bottom of the ninth as the Stallions have one more chance to win this ball game, and we will be back then. We return for the bottom of the ninth inning as the Muhlenberg Stallions will have a chance to win this game, down 3-2 right now, but both of those runs came in the eighth inning. This was a 3-0 ball game for a while, 2-0 for a while, and then 3-0 for a little bit. Miles Green will remain on the mound, and number 7, Kyle Hogwood, who struck out twice today, flew out in his other one. And we'll start things off with a strike from Green. And it has all of a sudden got very chilly out here. It was a hot day all day. Now very cold. And there's a pitch in the dirt from Green. 1-1 the count. And a low ball there, 2-1 the count now. That ball is fouled back to even up the count, 2 apiece here for Hogwood. Would be a pivotal out here to get the first batter out and leave no runners on base early in the bottom of the ninth. Time called for the batter. And the strikeout for Miles Green, the first out of the inning. And a pretty pitch will send Hogwood packing. And will bring up Caden Ray, who has reached once on error, but that's it today. That ball is played towards Gavin Baxter at third, who will make the throw to Stephen Bell, and it's in time. 2 quick outs here in the bottom of the ninth, and the Hoppers need one more to seal this victory. Stallions will bring up Garrett Causey, who hasn't reached base today, struck out once. He's been out in his other 2 at-bats. 2 outs now, no runners on base, and Garrett Causey at the plate. And a strike thrown there. 0-1 the count for Green against Causey. And there's another strike thrown from Green, so 0-2 the count. 2 outs on the board for Causey. 1 strike left in this game. And the Hoppers fans here in Muhlenberg getting into it. And there's a low inside pitch for a ball, 1-2 the count. And there's an outside pitch. So the 2s are wild here in the bottom of the ninth. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs for Miles Green, trying to save this game. And a foul almost goes into the broadcast booth, a tight one there. It's just above their window, so a scary one there for them. No screens in front of their booth. And the count will remain the same here, 2 apiece, with 2 outs and no runners on base. And a strikeout from Miles Green will finish the game. And a fantastic outing from Miles Green there in the ninth inning to win this game for the Hoppers. And the final score is Hoptown 2, Hoptown 3, Muhlenberg 2, and the Hoppers get a win, their 2nd in a row. And they will return to action tomorrow against the Louisville Jockeys at Georgetown College. So a big road trip this weekend. They'll also be playing Fulton in Fulton on Sunday. You can find all of those games on Hoptown Hoppers TV here, the same exact spot. Don't exactly know what times those are starting, but roughly around the same as tonight, most likely. So the Hoppers with a big win, 2 in a row. We will see you tomorrow. This has been Ethan Alexander and Hoptown Hoppers TV.